Hey there, this is Vasavi. First of all, I just have to say that I love that you would like your potential guest to record a short video and answer your questions to be on your podcast. I think that's absolutely brilliant because I was looking for the form and then I read carefully and it said, please record a short video. So this is awesome. All right, so how did you hear about the Success Unfiltered podcast? I actually found you on Instagram. I was so I absolutely love that your handle is called the Pitch Queen because that's really what I have done personally in my own life. I have pitched myself to so many different podcasts, just like I have with you, and that is how I built my business. Also, pitched myself to radio shows, television. Stations, which is how I became the co-host of our morning show here in Austin, Texas, for a few months, and I was on there for about 6 months, which I could share. I'm pulling up the thing because I have your questions. What are three specific and unique topics you can speak on as it relates to being told no in your professional career? How are you rejected to get to the level you are today? All right, there's so much to talk about here. So I would say first, just off the bat, being told no, sometimes I'll pitch myself to a podcast and people will say no. Sometimes I will be having a sales conversation with a potential client and he or she will say no. That has never stopped me from going after what it is that I want. In fact, I use every no as a learning opportunity for me to really look at myself, look at how I communicated, look at maybe where there wasn't a good fit, and I never take it personally because there are a lot of people living on this planet, and one no does not equal to a no forever. The second thing that I'd like to say, if you want to know the truth, which I'm sure you do, what has made me so qualified to work with entrepreneurs and salespeople, I have to be honest with you, the two biggest things that as an entrepreneur that I've dealt with is mental illness and addiction. I was diagnosed with mental illness when I was 20, but I never let that stop me. In fact, I remember the psychiatrist said to me, you basically just need to get married and have somebody take care of you. And you're never really going to be successful because you have this mental illness. And that was my resounding hell no to him. Absolutely not. I will not let something like a mental illness, even though it's huge and there's so much stigma around it, I will not let that stop me from fulfilling my God-given duty here while I'm living on this earth. And then also with addiction, having been in rehab twice and now sober, I had to say no to myself in a way, and I had to say no to toxic relationships, and I had to say no to toxic people and chaos and drama in my life because I allowed a lot of things into my life that just were not serving me on a personal level. For some reason, I always managed to keep it all together on the professional front, but on the inside, it was always, let's just say, a little bit of a hot mess. So really speaking about self-care and boundaries and treating your mind and your emotions as importantly as you treat your bank account, which I did not do, which I had to learn. I think it's very overlooked in entrepreneurship. We are taught to hustle, 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 which is great. I am all for hard work. I have a very good work ethic. My parents are immigrants. They taught me how to work very hard. There's no such thing as giving up. But at some point, it caught up to me where I had to stop and take care of myself because I was not doing any good for anybody around me, and especially myself. And the third thing, the third specific and unique topic. So we talked about addiction, mental illness, pitching yourself and being able to take no gracefully. But I think part of that, how we show up, and you can word that however you want, but for me, how I communicate about myself, how I portray myself, how I show up in life, in email, in video, on social media, it is not just some magical, oh, I'm confident. Do you know what I mean? People post a lot of things on social media and behind closed doors, they are suffering. They are suffering from low self-esteem. They are suffering from very low confidence. And that is just a very vicious cycle that can lead to a lot of anxiety and depression. So for me, I'm really all about, hey, let's actually feel good on the inside so that whatever you put out there in social media, or when you're pitching yourself, or when you're selling somebody, or when you're having a sales conversation, that exudes, right? We're looking, as human beings, we look for external to fix our internal. And having dealt with mental illness and living with mental illness, and having gone through rehab, I now know, having gone through rehab twice, change does start from the inside out. And I know it sounds cliche and cheesy, but it can be done, and it takes, and it's a one day at a time process. And all of this fits into entrepreneurship. All of this fits into sales, because in order to be successful in entrepreneurship and sales in any aspect, professionally and personally, you gotta feel it from within. Otherwise, you're just a walking, talking persona and facade. And therein lies imposter syndrome. So there's so much that we can talk about here, but those are the top three. Also, when and why have you turned away a big client, a big deal, a big investor, or walked away from a massive opportunity? Well, like I said, I was on a morning show. I would talk more about here, like how I handled it. I was on my morning show here in Austin, Texas. It was not a very diverse station, and I honestly think they hired me for diversity. That's just my opinion, because I saw who they replaced me with. But I was on there for 6 months, had no television experience, co-hosting experience. They let me go after 6 months. I tried the hardest that I could, but what I am most impressed with is how I walked away from that meeting when they let me go without, like, I had no idea. I was so surprised. Like, I walked away from it like, wow, what a relief. Because if I were to be very honest with myself, it was a very toxic work environment. And I woke up and went to sleep extremely stressed every single day. And so sometimes we say yes to things that we think we really, really want, or we've been talking about for years. We get it. We stick with it, and then we're like, this is not the right choice, but we don't know how to walk away. And sometimes the universe comes down and works in your favor always to help remove you from that situation. So I did say bye to live television for now, and I'm really happy that I did, because I get to not wake up stressed and anxious every day. So, will there be another opportunity for me out there? Absolutely. We'll see. But right now I'm just doing what I got to do, and just walking my path, and everyone has their path to walk. And lastly, okay, what other podcasts have you been a guest on? I've been on Solopreneur Hour. I have been on Being Boss. I have been on, oh my God, there are a lot. Like, if I can send you the link, but if you go to vasavikumar.com/media, all my sites are there. But the top three is Entrepreneur on Fire, Being Boss, and the Solopreneur Hour. And yeah, there are a lot. Like, I love the girls at Being Boss. They're awesome. And so that was a lot of fun. And I've been on a bunch of radio shows. I hosted my own radio show as well. So I love media, as you can tell. And then, why is my story so unique? Well, I'm the daughter of two immigrants. My parents came here from India in 1974. I'm like everything that you wouldn't find in my culture, right? So I'm Indian. I'm a woman. I'm the daughter of immigrants. I'm divorced, which is very no in our culture. I have a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. I've been in and out of rehab twice. I did not fit the mold of the Indian woman, right? In our culture, it's like, get married, have kids, make sure you pray, make sure you do this, like, just follow that path. And I am someone who has just followed my own path and tried to figure out what my path was. And sometimes my choices sucked, right? Like, I made some really bad choices along the way, but I wouldn't be who I am today without those choices. Could they have been avoided? I don't think so. I think I know that my choices and my path have all been divinely ordained. And I have no problem with that. It's made me a stronger person. It's made me more real. It's made me more honest with myself. And it's gotten me closer to my higher power. So let's just make sure you didn't ask me anything else. Hold on, sorry. This Face ID actually takes longer than me just putting in my code. Why is your story unique? Okay, I just said that. Okay, and what else? Why is my story unique? I mean, I definitely have the struggle and the tragedy and the triumph, But for me, what makes it unique is the way I tell it, right? So that's that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I think the last thing that I want to say is that people who struggle, I find that people that come to me, that work with me, that struggle with their ideas, getting their ideas out there, just taking the first step, just kind of taking flight, you know what I mean? And like not allowing their fear and their lack of focus to consume them. And just my ability to be able to help people believe in themselves, because I wouldn't be where I am today without the belief that I have in myself. And I do like to impart that on others. And I really do believe in every human being that I meet. I think our conversation would be awesome. And I think your listeners would get a ton from our interview. And I'd be grateful if you want to have me on. If not, this video